Welcome, and thank you for attending the August 25th, 2025 regular meeting of the Westerville City Schools Board of Education. This evening's agenda will be displayed on the screens in the front of the room. Printed agendas are available for our guests in the back room on the table, or you may find the agenda on your mobile device by connecting to the district's website at www.wcsoh.org. Click on our district link, select Board of Education, and follow the board docs link to our current meeting agenda. And with that, Ms. Marshall, will you please call the roll?
Mrs. Altman?
Here.
Mr. Heckelman?
Here.
Mrs. Valentine?
Here.
Mrs. Lieband?
Here.
Mrs. Meyer?
Here. And will you join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Next is district highlights and recognitions, and we don't have any this evening, so we're going to move along to reports. So 4.1, we have staff wellness plan, and welcome Ms. Bishop.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to present the district's employee wellness plan for the 2025-26 school year. The Employee Wellness Program is an initiative to improve and promote the health and well-being of our employees. We recognize the benefits of wellness initiatives for the employees of Westerville City Schools and aim to provide information and opportunities that can improve their physical, mental, and financial health. The Employee Wellness Program is funded by a credit of our administrative fees by Anthem, our health insurance carrier, and all funds are run through the district's self-insurance fund and not through our general fund. There is an attachment, but on the attachment, there's an overview of the programming available to our staff for this school year. Opportunities are available at no cost to staff, and some opportunities have an incentive offered for completion. We are working to highlight topics of interest to our staff, increase our available challenges and professional development day offerings, as well as provide more information about general wellness, our insurance programs, and our employee assistance programs offerings. And I'm happy to share that we saw an increase of participation in each of our offerings during the 24-25 school year and look forward to continuing that trend. At this time, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
I'll just say they look like really awesome benefits, so I hope people are taking advantage of them.
Yeah, thank you.
Either. Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Moving along, 4.02, Student Wellness and Success Funds and Disadvantaged Pupil Impact Aid Plan. And Ms. Marshall, will you please talk to us about this?
Thank you, President Meyer, members of the board. So this is an annual report that we are required to present to the board each year, and then we will post this plan on our district website as required within 30 days of this plan being reported. And so not new funds, just a newer requirement to schools for how we're using funds that we were already receiving. So for this year, fiscal year 26, which is 25-26 school year, that's what we're talking about today, we have student wellness and success funds. If you remember correctly, as part of Governor DeWine's first budget, that was initially separate funding outside of the funding formula. That's since been rolled into the funding formula. Again, I can't stress this enough, not new funds, just new requirements. What we received last year, we're seeing a reduction of $241,747 this year from what we received. So our estimated amount for this year is $995,035.26. For our disadvantaged pupil impact aid, we're estimated to receive about $1,028,052, also being reduced by $22,872. And those reductions are really a result of our state share dropping as we've discussed multiple times over and over again. So that is a total reduction in funding for our district. And other state and local funds, which what we're using out of our general fund, in addition to those dollars to support this work that we are required to do, is about $2.9 million that you can see on that. And I'm happy to turn it over to Ms. Santa and Mrs. Relford and Mr. McElwain to share with you about the programs.
Thank you. Good evening, President Meyer, Superintendent Hamburg, Ms. Marshall, members of the board. Appreciate that opening on the dollar side, which I think this is our group's third or fourth year presenting this, so to watch those dollars continue to shift is important to note. We're going to present this in a couple sections. You'll see, if you follow along, I'm going to cover the student wellness and success portion, and then Cheryl and Nick are going to go back and cover the disadvantaged pupil impact aid portion. So as you see, this requires a collaborative effort. Nothing has changed for us here. We still are, you choose from an approved provider list. We're still partnering with the ESC of Central Ohio as well as Concord Counseling Services, which are two longstanding places that we have great partnerships with. So that hasn't changed at all for us. As you jump into the student wellness content, our focus also continues to be the same. We're continuing that consistent area of mental health and physical health, which I'm lucky enough to support both of those departments. More specifically in those departments, when we talk about these dollars, we're talking about the school social workers and the mental health team, and then we're talking about the school nurses serving in our clinics. So just to be clear on those pieces. I think we have been just really grateful for the continued support of our community in both of these areas. I believe that by having a look at both of these departments for a long time now, have been able to observe the more consistent tiered levels of intervention and support that we've been able to offer on both sides, mental health-wise and physical health side of the house. I think it's a testament to both of those teams and spaces growing and strengthening for our kids and for our families. And so to just simplify that, it's whether we're talking about maybe a dysregulated student really struggling with some mental health pieces or helping a student really manage a chronic medical condition, right? Our goals really remain the same on both of those areas. We're trying to build skills, teach kids what they need to stay as healthy as they can, and really maximize their time by staying in the classroom. So it looks very different than that would in an outside mental health setting or an outside clinic setting for nurses. But that is our goal. That continues to be our goals when it comes to our mental health team and our nursing team. And then lastly, just like the other pieces that you'll see on here, we do have now consistent systems in place that we track often. We're reviewing just trends, patterns, anything that we might see in both of these areas that just allows us to make ongoing adjustments, I'd say really thoughtful decisions on just the best ways to support our students under this umbrella. So that covers the student wellness and success side. I'm going to have Cheryl and Nick cover the next portion, and then we'll answer any questions.
So at the elementary level, we use our disadvantaged pupil impact aid to support primarily our reading intervention services that we provide for our students in need of those foundational skills outside of the classroom. So as you know, we do provide high quality instruction in our day-to-day classroom for all of our students, but sometimes students will need a little bit extra to help them hone in on those skills so that they can work at a more masterful level and apply it in the classroom. And that model that we use with reading intervention is small group. With some of the legislation that has come down, we had to lower our number of students that we service in reading intervention from 5 to 4. At this time, we can only service 4 students within a group, no more than 4. So that has been an adjustment. Right, we also service about 20% of our students, K-5, receive reading intervention. Most of them do receive reading intervention through a pull-out model outside of the classroom, but there are times where we do provide some level of support within the classroom. We work diligently across our curriculum team to make sure that the resources that we're using to provide these interventions are high quality, evidence-based resources that align with the science of reading and provide a multisensory approach of teaching kids these foundational skills. And we monitor our students' progress ongoing and make the necessary adjustments based upon the interventions they receive, based upon how they're progressing through by learning those skills or showing that they can learn those specific skills. Beyond that, not a whole lot has changed for us other than the decrease in class size or small group service model, but we're excited that we're able to continue to extend these services for our kids using these funds. and then Nick has the other portion of how we utilize them.
Thank you, Cheryl. We are extremely blessed and thankful to be able to use these funds to offer our most at-risk students an opportunity to earn credits and not drop out of high school through our Educational Options for Success, or our EOS program. With this program, we aim to meet the educational needs of the students, but also support their social emotional well-being as well. Typically, the EOS program supports your upperclassmen students that are under-accredited, on the cusp or at risk of possibly dropping out of high school due to some of those educational struggles. Since the pandemic, as you know, we have definitely seen an increase in the mental health needs of our students as well. So not only working with our upperclassmen students, but also working with our underclassmen students that are dealing with the anxieties, the depression, and just all the noise that can kind of sometimes overwhelm them in a typical school setting, to give them another alternative to earn credits and get themselves on the right track and graduate within 4 years. Last year, we had about 200 kids utilize the EOS program, and we serviced them with their educational and social emotional needs. On average, the EOS program will account for about 10% of all Westerville City Schools graduates. We typically award anywhere around 450 credits each year, but last year we had an amazing year within the program, and we actually awarded over 580 credits to our students. This is the most credits that we have awarded since the 2018-2019 school year. So we had a lot of success with a lot of our students with the EOS program, with getting them back on track and awarding those credits. On the social emotional side of things as well, we do a pre-survey when students come into our program to see kind of what their thoughts and feelings are with school, and we collect those results, and then as a student leaves our program, we give them a post-survey and we compare those results. What we're hoping to see is that as we work and meet their social emotional needs, that we are increasing their positive aspects and thoughts and feelings around school while decreasing their negative thoughts as well. Last year within the program, we had 98% of our students have a positive and change in positive thoughts with school, while over 90% of our students had less anxieties, less fears, and less negative thoughts with school. So not only are we meeting their educational needs, but we're also meeting their social emotional needs as well. Throughout the program, we'll continue to track our graduation numbers and the students attaining credit and getting back on track. We'll also look at our social emotional needs as well through our survey to make sure that we are meeting the needs of our most at-risk students. And we cannot tell you how thankful we are and how grateful our families are that we serve to be able to have this option for them. Turn it back over to Ms. Marshall for any parting comments, and we'll take any questions.
Again, just want to mention these aren't new dollars, but just the reporting is a new requirement. This is work that our teams have been doing for a long time to help support kids. And so that's all I have.
Yep, thank you so much. I do have a question. Could you, in terms of percentage, clarify or let us better understand what percentage of our total student population is considered disadvantaged?
So our, it's based on our economically disadvantaged numbers is what the calculation is, a portion of that, and it's about 43%. Actually, I think it might be a little bit higher this year, but last year was 43%. I think we're up to like 48% now.
I just had a question for Ms. Relford. You had mentioned that we're now, I think I hear, mandated to have 4 and not 5 in these groups. So tell me about the other students. I imagine they don't slip through the cracks. We have to figure out how we're servicing them. So can you walk us through what that looks like?
So we get a little creative, and we worked really hard to make sure that our classroom teachers are well trained and prepared on how to deliver interventions within the classroom. We do understand that sometimes kids need a little bit more, so we try to get that high, top 10, 20% of the students receiving the more intensive reading intervention services. But within the legislation, when they implemented high dosage tutoring, one of the things that changed is that the group sizes had to be smaller. So we dropped from 5 to 4 students to meet that criteria. And that doesn't seem like a lot of students, but typically a reading intervention teacher has about 8 groups within the day. And so you're talking about 32 students receiving reading intervention services per caseload typically for one teacher, which was a decrease from 40 students on a caseload. We are providing, you oftentimes hear us talk about Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3. Tier 3 is reading intervention. That's our most intensive reading services. Tier 2 are those reading intervention services that students receive by the classroom teacher within the classroom. And Tier 1 is that whole class instructional model that all kids get. So if a student is receiving Tier 2 or Tier 3, they're getting interventions on top of day-to-day instruction. And again, Tier 3 is the students of greatest need, in need of a lot more than what a typical kid would need at Tier 1.
Thank you. So following up on that question, I imagine, like you said, the top 10 to 20%, are we I know we are, we're tracking just to make sure that they're not slipping through the cracks if they're below that amount.
We are. We have some children who will exit out of reading intervention, but you will have some students who may be in reading intervention for a few years at a time. Then you have some students who are like those bubble kids, and they're always going to just kind of be right there in the middle. And some kids will need more on top of reading intervention. They may qualify for special education instruction or 504 accommodations or things of that nature. So we, as you know, we offer the full range of service for our kids, from the least restrictive to the most restrictive based upon their needs.
Cheryl, could you talk about how we assess all kids, though, with the universal screener, and then what those data conversations look like? That might be helpful, just to add to that point.
So we start with screening all of our students, and it's typically K-5. We do offer iReady diagnostics at the middle school level, and we do even have some high school students who take the iReady diagnostic. I know you got, and within the community, families hear about iReady, but iReady is one of the assessments that we use as a universal screener to determine just where do we start. We also are using DIBELS as our dyslexia screener, and that kind of drills in a little more specific. Both of those assessments just touch upon things differently, but we want multiple data points to use to make the determination on who to serve. And then once we use those universal screeners, then our reading intervention teachers administer more assessments. We continue to dig in so that when we pull students in for a group, we are very targeted and skill-based. That's our focus at that point, trying to drill down so that we're really targeting the specific skills that a student might need support in. And so the data doesn't stop with just a universal screener. We monitor students' progress all along the way, and we make adjustments if we need to based upon the instructional or intervention delivery. If it's meeting the needs of the student, we continue. If it's not, we adjust so that we're making sure that we're getting them, I call it the sweet spot for learning, because it should be very intentional and purposeful and match the student based upon their skill deficits.
Thank you.
Just to follow up on that, could you explain what kind of communication families get if a child is in receiving Tier 2 versus Tier 3? Like, how is that explained to families?
So if a student is receiving interventions from the classroom teacher within the classroom, well, if I could just back up a couple of steps. So at the beginning of the year, right now, we're in heavy assessment time. It's the beginning of the year. We're trying to assess all of our students to make a determination of need. All of our students' families will get notified based upon how they perform on their iReady diagnostic and how they perform on the DIBELS assessment. Those screener communications go home in a letter form to all. And if a student is being identified for interventions from a reading intervention specialist, the communication comes directly from that reading intervention teacher, letting the parent know that that student is receiving small group instruction outside of the classroom, and sometimes our reading interventions specialists push into a classroom. And we might not really tell a parent in kindergarten that their child is receiving extra services because we don't really service kindergarten students until January, but we do sometimes have our reading teachers push into a kindergarten classroom so that they can interact with more kids and because what you're teaching at kindergarten are all early literacy skills, and they can be of support to provide that targeted, I want to call it, it's really more Tier 1 support at that point. If a student is receiving Tier 2 interventions by the classroom teacher, or if the coach is pushing into a classroom, or a reading teacher is assisting with trying to build a student up, the teacher would be the person communicating those areas of strength and weakness and what the plan of support is moving forward.
Great, thank you for walking through that.
You're welcome.
Could I just follow up on my colleague? So when you say they get the reading intervention specialist or the teacher will let the family know, is it via email? Is it via call? Like,
It could be arranged. The reading intervention teachers send a letter home to families, and then they usually establish a system of how they're communicating their progress that the kids are making. So that is usually done, when I think back to what I saw when I was a building principal, once you receive the letter that your child has been identified for those services, we provide, the reading specialist will give input, feedback to families, letting families know how the kids are progressing. And that can go via backpack mail in a folder, it could be an email, it could be a phone call, it could be a range of communication. For district communications as it pertains to iReady and the dyslexia screener, we do email some of those communications, but buildings often send home hard copies as well. And then if the classroom teacher is providing interventions, it might look like the teacher just communicating that, hey, I'm noticing that your child is having some area where we need to provide a little extra support, and this is how I'm going to do that. And that could be communicated via phone, email. It usually varies by teacher at that point because they're doing so many interventions within the classroom.
Thank you.
I have a question for you as well on the reading intervention. When kids are taken out of the classroom for additional reading intervention, when does that happen during the school day?
So we try to identify those blocks of time where we're not disrupting their Tier 1 instruction. And so often it will be during a center rotation model, so maybe they're pulled from some independent practice activity. We don't like to pull kids out of a classroom when they are with the classroom teacher receiving core instruction. We try to do it outside of those times. From K to 2, it's more of a center rotation time, so like they might get pulled from their computer-based interactive activity a few days out of the week, or they might get pulled from an independent station where they're doing something that they can complete at a different time. Grades 3, right now we are servicing grades 3, 4, and 5, but 4 and 5 is contingent upon what the students' needs are, but it's not. Our main core service model is grades 1 to 3 for the beginning of the year with some 4th and 5th graders. And then when we move into January, it's grades K to 5, but it's contingent upon greatest need at that point.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, I just had one more too. I just have a piece on the staffing model, if we go back to that for just a minute. So we've gone from basically 1 to 5 to 1 to 4, right, for the ratio. I'm assuming that our needs are not decreasing proportionally. If anything, they're probably rising. So are we hiring additional staff for that? Are we do we have some staff who is underutilized? It's now being tapped into that, or additional teachers being trained? How are we going to fill that need, that unfunded need, if you will, about those additional teachers that will be required?
I wish I could say we were doing more. We are making do with what we have, targeting the needs of the kids, the greatest need of kids based upon the data. And so what you will find in our title buildings, they tend to have more staffing because we use some title dollars to fund some of the additional reading teachers in those buildings. But all of our buildings, regardless if they're title or non-title, have at least one full-time reading teacher in the building, and we use the data to determine how we service kids. You will find from building to building that there may be spaces on a caseload because we don't take sometimes we move teachers around if we need to based upon one building having a greater need than another, but we do try to make sure that things are equitable as far as resources within a building. But we have not added any additional reading teachers in a while now, and we do work within the FTE that's currently allocated. In our Title I buildings, there is this expectation that whatever we provide to the students in our title building is on top of what we provide in our non-title buildings. So in our title buildings, they have more staffing, but they have a smaller caseload. So they might not service full 32 even at that in those title buildings because we have to show that they are servicing, that the kids in our title buildings are getting on more on top of, what a typical.
Thank you.
I just want to mention about the title funds. So the title funds are federal grant dollars that we get based on our student demographics. And when Cheryl talks about the title buildings, those are buildings that are targeted specifically with those funds. And with all of these federal entitlement grants, they're required to provide support above and beyond what the local and state dollars provide for. So that's what she's talking about when you see that it's additional support on top of.
Thanks for clarifying that, Nicole. I'm getting dry mouth up here.
Could we scroll back up to the dollar amount for this? I just wanted to point out too, I think it's important to note as we are talking about being on the ballot and we are having lots of conversations within our team about if we're not successful with our fall ballot issue, what types of recommendations would we make to the board on things that could be cut. And I think it's important to note, everything, and I've said this before, but everything that we have was added because it provides value to kids and to our community. And so this is an area where if you look up here, that important number is the other state or local funds that we're contributing to this. So as Nicole mentioned, we are required to spend some of this money in this area. This district has made a commitment to providing above and beyond what is required by these funds because these are all services that they talked about that remove barriers for kids who are not learning. And so we just talked a lot about reading, so I won't hit that as hard, but as we think about what Tammy and Nick also talked about, this is programming. We talk about nursing services. We have diabetic children who need help managing their diabetes when they're at school. When we don't have nurses available, oftentimes, we've just talked about it today, if we don't have enough nurses, that might fall on the principal, who's then not available to do other things to lead the building. Kids might not get the level of service we want them to get. We talk about the programming over at the AEC that Mr. McElwain oversees. That's a credit recovery opportunity that we don't have to provide, and so that could go away. So I just want to point out when we're talking about all this great programming for kids that we're currently funding, that these are things that as we look at what do we have to provide by law, and then what are the extra things we provide because we think they're the right thing for kids, and that's the bucket that we have to look at when we're identifying potential reductions. So the conversations we're having right now, and we're planning on bringing that information to the board at the September 22nd meeting to consider, these are the types of things that are included on that list because we, without passing the levy, would not have that additional money to put toward this. So I just want to point that out. I think it's important as we're talking about the great work that they're doing that, again, this is above and beyond because our kids need these barriers removed so they can focus on their learning.
To follow up on that, actually, I had a question for Mr. McElwain about students moving into the EOS program. So could you just talk briefly about, a lot of times my understanding is, this is a recommendation that comes to students that this might be a great fit for them, but can you talk about, can students move in only at the beginning of the semester, or if someone is really struggling, how does that actually work, moving students into the EOS program?
And that's the beautiful part with our program is that it is self-paced with the learning model, so we're able to bring students in and out at any time throughout the school year. We'd love to be able to bump out a wall and move out towards Electric Avenue and offer more to our students because there is a need for that. We have a wait list in all 3 high schools of students wanting and waiting for that opportunity. So anytime a student is recommended, obviously they go on that wait list. We try to get those students that are seniors, work with those upperclassmen, but those underclassmen that are really struggling and really in a bad spot, we're going to try to make and work to get them in there the best that we can. We are limited, obviously, with our staff and with our space, but we are very fortunate to be able to have a program where students can kind of come in and out at any time that they need to.
Thank you. And just in thinking about that, my understanding is, some students are doing a split day, right? So not everybody's there all the time. If you just would talk about what
Correct.
days look like for kids in the program.
Yeah, we offer 2 sessions. We offer a morning and an afternoon session. And a lot of times our students will come in and they'll do what we consider split days. They'll start the day with us and they're there for 3 hours, and then they will bus or walk across the street over to Westerville South and take a couple more classes over there to try to get themselves caught up. It's all really individualized and based on what the student needs and where they're at with things. We always try to get it to where we're hopefully getting students in a good spot to where they can possibly transition back into their building, specifically those underclassmen. We sent 12 students back to their building to start this year full-time that are now back on pace and on track to graduate within 4 years, taking care of their educational and social and emotional needs. But they do know that if things kind of start to take a turn, that they can come back to us and we can get them back in, and we'll continue to work with them. A lot of our students are out in internships and doing other jobs and learning job skills as well. So with us having a split day, they're able to participate in those things and help and support their families while meeting their educational needs. So we're very lucky to be able to do that.
Great, thank you. And just one more, if I can beg everyone's forgiveness. This might sit between you and Ms. Santa. So you talked a lot about how sometimes students are there, there's academic need, but also social emotional needs. So could you talk a little bit about the additional, what that support looks like in the program?
Yeah, we have a mental health specialist within our building that is able to work one-on-one with students. We also offer some meditation and yoga services to students just to be able to kind of work on what they need to. And honestly, being just in a smaller environment really helps a lot of students as well. The connections that my teaching staff makes with kids as they work with them one-on-one in those small group settings, you're only looking at anywhere from about 14 to 15 students per one teacher, and really being able to kind of hammer down on what those individual needs are educationally, but also what their social emotional needs are. And they don't have to worry about the stresses of changing classes, doing anything like that because they're in one specific setting. They don't have to worry about all the social things that are going on. Who am I going to sit with at lunch? What did somebody say as they walk by me in the hallway? It's just a really condensed and kind of relaxed atmosphere for our students to help them with that mental health piece.
Thank you for painting a picture of what that's like. Appreciate that.
Thank you. And if I may, pertaining to the reading intervention services, with the science of reading being a state mandated requirement as well, could you maybe kind of walk us through, especially for those of us that aren't familiar with the history of this, and I know it's new, how that's maybe impacted the work that we're doing?
And that's the great thing with us. We're like a tier 2, tier 3 model for helping our students. So we're able to really sit down and kind of cater and look at, what specifically does the student need. We look at the data to see where they're at through their different testing scores, through their previous grades, but honestly through conversations with our students and with our families to where we can go ahead and we can cater and change things because it is a self-paced program. So if a student does need a little extra time to go ahead and read through or work through some written work or a quiz or test, they have that ability because the teacher doesn't have to go forward. The kid's working at their own pace. The kid can work at home. So with the science of reading stuff, we're already at that tier 2, tier 3 level with what we're doing.
I just have one last question. If someone, like a family member, was considering this for their child, or their child was considering this, would they be able to reach out to you and just take a look and see how it is over there? I mean, I've been there and it's really cool. I've enjoyed myself when I'm there.
Absolutely. They are more than welcome to email me or call me and reach out. I have parents do that at least, it seems like, a couple times a week with me being listed on the website. Some of them, it was we worked with their older brother or sister, and now they've got a younger sibling, and it was just so transformational for the older child that they feel like they would like to try to get the younger child in. And we work with families like that. But anytime anybody is more than happy to reach out and kind of come in and see what we do and see if we can help their child.
Thank you guys so much, and thanks for all the amazing work that you're doing around, meeting the child where they're at, their whole child, and removing those barriers. Okay. Next up, we have 4.03, the superintendent's comments. Ms. Hamburg.
Thank you. I want to start by, first of all, thanking those three for their report. As I just kind of added there, a lot of that work is the extra work that a lot of times people don't realize that goes on in the school district to make sure all kids are successful. So those are the things that make our district special and that help us make sure we catch kids and they don't fall through the cracks. So I appreciate all the work that their teams do on a daily basis to help our kids. I do want to just thank everyone for what a great start to the school year. So since we were here last, we started school. It's been a great start. The energy in the buildings has been fantastic. Just really appreciate all of our students, staff members, and families for all of your work to help us get off to a great start this year. Wanted to thank the Westerville Education Challenge. I know some of you were able to make it out Saturday to the Night of Hope 5K. Appreciate their support of mental health programming. So nice fit in with what Ms. Santa was just talking about. But they have the 5K fundraiser to help support mental health programming for our students, and also had the big bus out there who continues to provide programming for our students with tutoring and other after-school activities. So it was a great night Saturday for that. I'd like to give a shout out to our communications team for all their work in helping us showcase the start of the year. If you didn't get a chance to check out a couple of our new videos, we've gotten really good feedback on our South Construction video featuring Carrie Dennis, our Chief Operations Officer. That can be found on our South High School website as well as our facilities page. So if you didn't get to see that, check it out. There's also a fun sportsmanship video that 3 of our high school students, our student section leaders, actually initiated, wanting to do some work on setting some common expectations for behavior at games. And we did a fun video with them as well, and you can find that on our We Are the Ville page, which is under our extra and co-curricular activities page. So 2 great videos. I know they have some more coming out this week, so stay tuned. Wanted to give another shout out. Our 3 high schools were all recognized in the recent U.S. News and World Report Best High School rankings, so congratulations to all of them. These ratings are based on AP participation in ratings, reading, math, and science proficiency, and graduation rates. We know those are just some of the things that make our schools great, and obviously we want to continue to improve in those areas as well as all of the other areas that make our schools wonderful. And that is all I have this evening. Thanks again to everyone for a great start.
Thank you. Next up, we have public comments, and the Board of Education welcomes public comment on educational issues of interest to our school community. The board does not discriminate based on the identity or viewpoint of the speaker during our public participation. However, the board president may limit comments that are obscene, abusive, or harassing. In an attempt to protect the privacy interests of our students, the board asks that speakers not identify students by name during their comments. Persons having public complaints about district personnel, programming, or operations will be referred to the process set forth in Board Policy 9130. Finally, the board reminds speakers that their statement should be directed to the board as a whole and not to individual members. And each speaker will have 3 minutes to address the board. A timer will be shown on the screens, and Ms. Dennis will call time when 3 minutes have elapsed. And our first speaker this evening is Mr. Doug Krinsky. Welcome back.
Thank you. I guess on a bright note, I'll say, I hope everybody realizes the state did give the district additional funding over the next 2 years. There is $648,000 additional coming to the district, so I think everybody needs to know that. In addition to the $2.7 million the district will continue to get every year on the real estate reevaluations. That said, Westerville Levy Concerns, which is a group that I put together, is simply a group of concerned citizens in Westerville in this particular case, that opposed the Westerville school income tax proposal on the November ballot. I think it's issue 39 in Franklin County. The board is asking for even more money than the last levy, which was defeated in November of last year. Currently, they're seeking $24 million this time, as opposed to the $20,800,000 last time. After it was defeated, the district somehow found $5 million in cost savings and a total of $8 million in savings, but yet they're coming back asking for more money, $24,300,000. Interesting. After the last levy was defeated, the board said they wanted to listen to residents. So, what did you do? You eliminated public comments on the district Facebook page. You eliminated public comments after all line items on board meeting agendas. And you also shortened public comments to 3 minutes at the beginning of the meetings. I don't think that's really wanting to hear public comments and feedback, but actions speak louder than words. We'll see. The proposed income tax will overburden working families. The last proposed property tax would have been an increase of 16% for the average homeowner of, say, a $354,000 home. That would have cost $608. For that same average household earning $107,000, this increase will now be $802, a 32% increase over the previously defeated levy from last fall. On top of that, renters, both apartments and homes in the district, will now have to pay this income tax. Whether they're residents or not, it doesn't matter. So if their income taxes go up and their landlord's taxes go up, this means double jeopardy. They get hit twice. So I remind folks, student enrollment is down since 2019. Last year, the budget went up almost $31 million. This year, it's going up almost $8 million. So while enrollment is down, test scores are down over the last 10 years, we come back with another levy. So increasing $58 million over the last 5 years apparently is not enough. I say make sure you're registered to vote and vote no on this levy coming up in November. Thank you.
Next up, we have Mr. Kevin Hoffman. Welcome.
Check the timer. Good evening, members of the board, Superintendent Hamburg, Treasurer Marshall. It's good to be here with you this evening. My name is Kevin Hoffman. I have been a resident of the district for 43 of the last 44 years. I'm a graduate of the district. I am the proud parent, proud father of 2 successful district graduates. I live at 1147 Tidewater Court. I am here to thank you for taking the pragmatic decision you have taken to place a 0.75% earned income levy on the November ballot. And I'm also here to offer my support as a co-chair of the committee to support the levy. This levy reflects the will of the people to move away from property tax for the funding of public education. This levy reflects the needs of the community to focus on earned income only. As such, it does not take into account retirement income, Social Security, unemployment, interest, capital gains, or dividends. This levy provides a mechanism to deal with the inflationary pressures that have challenged public education for as long as I can remember. And most of all, this levy ensures that the district is able to provide the required services to make the kids of our community successful. Thank you again for your leadership in taking this important decision. You can be sure that the team of which I am a part will work tirelessly to share this important information with the voters of the Westerville Schools community so that they can understand how important it is for them to vote for this critical issue. Thank you very much and have a good evening.
Thank you. Next up, we have Ms. Ellis Blackstone. Welcome.
Hello, my name is Ellis Blackstone. I attended Westerville City Schools K through 12. I'm here to talk about the levy that's going to be on the November ballot. I graduated in 2019. Around 2017, 2018, I decided I was going to take a gap year. Not super conventional decision, but my educators in the Westerville City School system have supported me anyway. They provided me with the resources, with the tools necessary. They answered my questions. They sent me on my way. They were so excited. I was so excited. I was ready to get out of Westerville, right? Like, for me, this was like small town USA. No opportunity for me here. So I left and I traveled, and it turned into 2 years, and it was awesome. And it was eye-opening, but I think what was really eye-opening is that when I came back home, I started to notice things in Westerville that I took for granted. Amazing natural spaces, right? Like Tree City USA, correct. I started noticing like the community. So I feel supported, welcomed, safe, loved. And so I did a 180 where I was like, I was never gonna come back, and now I might like set up home here. I might start a family here. I'm in this liminal space where I'm not in Westerville City Schools. I don't have kids in Westerville City Schools, but I still care, because the only thing that would discourage me from having kids and sending them to Westerville City Schools is the fact that there might not be the programs I had available to them. There might not be the resources that I had available to them. I did see, like in my 4 years in high school, 12 years total in Westerville City Schools, kind of like a decrease in availability of programs and resources and tools and opportunities. Why were we relying on the $10,000 Ronald McDonald Prize money to like fix our bathrooms or to like get a water fountain, let alone like stock our classrooms or like provide disabled students with opportunities to like thrive and flourish and learn? I support the levy that's on the November ballot, just from personal experience. I might not have stats, I might not have like numbers to like persuade people one way or another, but I do know that I have lived experience, and I'm not about abandoning ship, jumping ship. I want to stay here, and I want to fix this community. I want to see it flourish. I want kids, my kids, to have the same opportunities I had, if not better. Why not better? That is why I encourage everyone to vote yes on the levy that's on the November ballot. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We have no more public comments this evening, so moving along to 6.01. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of the regular Board of Education meeting held on Monday, August 11th, 2025?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments, alterations? All right, may you take the vote, please, Ms. Marshall?
Mr. Heckelman?
Yes.
Mrs. Valentine?
Yes.
Mrs. Altman?
Abstain because I was absent.
Mrs. Lieband?
Yes.
Mrs. Meyer?
Yes. And may I have a motion to approve the financial report and investments for July 2025?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Marshall, will you talk to us about these?
Yes, thank you again. So we are going over July, which is the first month of the fiscal year. So not very far into the fiscal year with this one. So for our general fund, we had year-to-date receipts, month-to-date and year-to-date are the same, of $61.3 million. And year-to-date expenditures of $18.2 million. I do just want to mention for our general fund, as we're tracking when we're talking about forecasting and all of that, $61.3 million is about 28% over of what our projected revenue is for the year. So you can kind of see how that ebbs and flows a little bit. And we had spent 7% of our projected expenditures for the year. Our total unencumbered fund balance for the general fund was $144.7 million. And for all funds, we had year-to-date receipts of $72 million and year-to-date expenditures of $24.8 million. And we ended with unencumbered fund balance for all funds of $239.9 million. And that is all I have if you have any questions.
Any questions? Okay, will you take the vote?
Mr. Heckelman?
Yes.
Mrs. Altman?
Yes.
Mrs. Valentine?
Yes.
Mrs. Lieband?
Yes.
Mrs. Meyer?
Yes. And may I have a motion to approve the fiscal year 2026 permanent appropriations?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Marshall, will you talk to us about these as well?
Yes, thank you again. So the board approved temporary appropriations in June, and so this sets our permanents, which are actually not required to be approved until the end of September. but we wanted to go ahead and get those set with our budgets in place. And we do have a couple of additional budget requests in our principals funds, the public school support, and then our district managed student activities funds. And those are all self-sustaining funds based on the revenue that they receive. We adjust those budgets throughout the year. And then we are decreasing the grant allocation for the psych intern. We don't have any psych interns this year, so we won't see grants for that. And then we have a new Ohio Arts Council grant for one of our schools, so that we're adding to the appropriations. And those are all the changes.
And we don't have a psych intern, not that we don't want one, we just,
We don't have a need for a psych intern this year
Okay.
with the program, so there's no grant for that.
Great, thank you. All right, any questions? All right, will you take the vote?
Mrs. Lieband?
Yes.
Mr. Heckelman?
Yes.
Mrs. Altman?
Yes.
Mrs. Valentine?
Yes.
Mrs. Meyer?
Yes. And may I have a motion to approve the purchases in accordance with Ohio Revised Code 5705.41D1 and Board Policy 6320?
So moved.
Second.
Will you talk to us about these?
Yeah, so this is what we call the now purchase orders. This is where we have a purchase order that's dated after an invoice date. In this case, we have two, one for Direct Energy Marketing for utilities, and this was due to Direct Energy becoming a supplier, and they were supposed to be changing the bill over, but we had one final bill that got left off. And then special education, we had some changeover with secretarial support, and this purchase order got missed being opened at the beginning of the year. Both of these things have been budgeted for. They're included in all of the department budgets, so I would recommend the board's approval so that we can get them paid.
Any questions? Okay.
Mrs. Altman?
Yes.
Mr. Heckelman?
Yes.
Mrs. Valentine?
Yes.
Mrs. Lieband?
Yes.
Mrs. Meyer?
Yes, and can we take personal consent agenda as one? Okay. May I have a motion to approve the personal consent agenda 8.01 through 8.10?
So moved.
Second.
Welcome, Mr. Reeves.
Thank you, President Meyer and members of the board. I'd like to present to you for your consideration tonight's personnel consent agenda. Along with the regular action items in tonight's agenda, there are a number of items to be noted. What is typical for the weeks following the start of the school year, the board will notice that the consent agenda is weighted heavily toward classified employees, as all admin have been hired to start the school year, and we still have 7 remaining teaching positions that we are working diligently to fill. Of the 71 new hires in the teaching ranks that we have to start the school year, 16 of them are Westerville graduates. 9 from Westerville North, 5 from Westerville South, and 2 from Westerville Central. So we're very proud that people come back home to serve the district that meant so much to them. We have 11 classified resignations and several substitute bus driver and van driver resignations. For the substitute drivers, you'll notice their names later on in the employment section as they've completed their training and are moving from substitutes to full-time drivers. We have no licensed resignations on this consent agenda. Leave of absences and contract status changes. We do have one classified leave of absence and a slight classified contract status change, which amounts to the difference of a half an hour in their day. We have 7 one-time pay requests for some of our new teachers getting crisis prevention intervention training. And you can see the many names in the employment section of our bus and van drivers moving to full-time status, as well as new building aides to be hired. For licensed employees, we have 2 hires. We have home instruction tutors and 2 amended licenses, one who earned college credit over the summer to move up on the teacher salary scale, and the other is a start date that coincides with the allowable return to work following retirement. As typical to the start of the year, the board is asked to approve the many supplemental contracts that teachers take, coaching, club advisors, and all of those things that make the experience very vital. I would also like to call out specifically and congratulate Trevor Kilmeyer, who will take over as the head boys basketball coach at Westerville South following a very illustrious Hall of Fame career for a longtime successful coach Ed Kalo. And we wish Mr. Kalo very well on his next chapter. Retirements. We have 4 retirements, 2 classified and 2 licensed retirements this evening. Susan Moore will be retiring as a bus driver after 1 year of service to the district. Richard Palmer will be retiring as a long-serving food service worker with 16 years of service. Deborah Coe is retiring as an elementary teacher after 28 years of service to the district. And Donna Dixius will be retiring after serving our English learner students for 19 years. Collectively, they have served 64 years to Westerville City Schools. And if that time were linear, that would take us back to 1961, when President John F. Kennedy took his oath of office. The singing group, the Primettes, signed with Motown. They later changed their name to the Supremes. The 101 Dalmatian opened to audiences worldwide. The Beatles made their first ever appearance in Liverpool, England, and the sparkling new Westerville High School just completed its first school year. Go Wildcats. I'll be happy to take any questions you may have.
That's great. Any questions? Thank you for that history lesson. And take the vote, yeah.
Mr. Heckelman?
Yes.
Mrs. Lieband?
Yes.
Mrs. Altman?
Yes.
Mrs. Valentine?
Yes.
Mrs. Meyer?
Yes. Next up, we have old business 9.01, and may I have a motion to approve policy 1069.1, public participation at board meetings?
So moved.
Second.
Welcome. Mr. Reeves?
Nothing for this one.
Okay. All right. Any final thoughts, questions, or can we take the vote? All right, let's take the vote, yeah.
Mrs. Valentine?
Yes.
Mrs. Lieband?
Yes.
Mrs. Altman?
Yes.
Mr. Heckelman?
Yes.
Mrs. Meyer?
Yes. And may I have a motion to approve policy 5136, personal communication devices?
So moved.
Second.
Welcome, Mr. Reeves.
Thank you. I do want to follow up on this particular item. We don't typically have a lot of comments in between first and second readings, but there is a lot of publicity around this particular policy, a lot of things online, in the news, and all of those good things. So we did have a few comments and questions that were brought before us. So we want to, again, articulate the parameters of this particular policy and how we have been progressing to this point. So I do want to reiterate that the change in this policy and our procedures are a result of mandates from this particular budget bill and not something that we unilaterally decided to do on our own. If you will also recall, we made slight restrictions to our policy last year as a result of legislation, but the legislation in this budget bill became more restrictive than what we had last year. We also noted that a number of suburban districts around 270 opted for total personal communication device bans last year. We did a tiered restriction. Several of our building administrators reached out to their colleagues from those areas, and most indicated that they didn't have any issues or problems at all. Questions were asked about using devices during lunch. Why can't our children use devices during lunch or in study hall or in the hallways? And the Ohio Department of Education and Workforce came out with clarity that their intention was a total ban of personal communication devices from the start of the instructional day to the end of the instructional day, to include hallways, lunch, and study halls, all times where students are supervised. We had the option, and the bill provides an option, to expand the total ban outside of the school day into all school property, into all school activities, but we felt trying to monitor that at a football game or a basketball game, we wanted to focus on the instructional piece, so we started there. The deadline to implement this change is not till January 1. So people asked, well, why are you doing that now? And it was very unanimous across our 23 buildings, and well, preschool kids don't really come with cell phones, but that it would be very, very difficult to start the year under our old system and then try to make a drastic change at mid-year. That wouldn't be fair to anyone, the staff, the students, and so we thought it best practice to start the year with the policy and have a complete year of the restriction. There are allowable exceptions, and I do want to review those allowable exceptions. With written documentation from a physician explaining why the cell phone is required is an allowable exception. If the device use is written into a 504 or an IEP to help the student meet their goals, that is an allowable restriction. With a classroom teacher's permission for instructional purposes, which is something that we allowed last year, that classroom teachers could allow students to use their devices in the classroom for instructional purposes. And I'll give you a very practical example. Several of our students in our English learner classes use their devices for translation purposes. That is an absolutely viable instructional use of cell phones that we intend to continue to allow. And then lastly, if we have an emergency situation where a student may need to call or text their family or their parents to let them know that they are safe, as long as their access to the device doesn't violate safety protocols, they can do that in an emergency situation. What would violate a safety protocol? If we're on a lockdown there in a classroom and their cell phone is in a locker and somewhere else in the building, we wouldn't be able to allow the student to be able to go get that. I will tell you that our buildings and our principals are vigorously communicating to their kids every day. The staff is doing an amazing job in the classroom of reinforcing the expectations, and we have really had, as Ms. Hamburg said earlier, a great start to this school year. We've been in buildings. We don't see this as being an issue. Our kids have been great. They are complying. And an interesting byproduct of just 2 weeks into the school year, this time last year, Westerville North had approximately 300 books checked out of the library. Coincidence or not, this time this year, it's over 900. So, can't play your game, can't watch your device, go check out a book, not a bad thing. So, just wanted to update and answer some things that we've been getting and some clarifications and around this particular bill, and any questions that you may have before approval.
Thank you.
I just had one question regarding books. Where do Kindles fall in this policy? E-readers in general, I should say.
Well, we don't check them out of the library. And you know, those are questions that we had, and we are really trying to define for our students whether, because the bill really is intended for cell phones and personal communication devices, but we are trying to provide clarity. We're having these conversations with our principals, student leaders. We are meeting with them coming up in the next month or so for things like electronic games that aren't necessarily communication devices, or things like Kindles or iReaders or things like that. And so we are trying to provide consistency across our system so that we don't have one experience in one school and a different experience in another. So those are ongoing conversations that we're having for things that fall maybe just outside of the parameters of the policy, but maybe inside the spirit of it. So that's a great question.
And I assume that once we figure that out, we will be communicating that out to the families.
Absolutely. And we've done a great job. Our communications department, our teaching and learning teams put things out to families, our teachers, building principals, a full out effort. And I think that's why we haven't had much issues at all.
As a parent, I know I've received this too, so thank you. Okay. Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mrs. Leban?
Yes.
Mrs. Altman?
Yes.
Mr. Eckelman?
Yes.
Mrs. Valentine?
Yes.
Mrs. Meyer?
Yes, we have no new business, so moving along to recommended action, standing business, 11.01, which is a really fun part of the night, donations. And may I have a motion to approve the donations as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Everybody wants to approve that. Will you talk to us about this, Ms. Marshall?
Yes, so we are crossing fiscal years here, so we actually have a donation that was received and accounted for in fiscal year 25 that we're adding to the list of $23,681.10. That brings our grand total for our fiscal year 2025 donations to $386,556.59 from our wonderful community. It's amazing. The previous year, 24, before that was $349,062. So well above where we ended in '24. So we just can't thank our community enough. And then for the current request for fiscal year '26, it's $17,541.48 from our generous donors. And I would recommend the board's approval so we can accept these.
So moved.
Second?
Oh, you've already voted.
Yeah.
Or you've already.
Yes.
If there's no comments, I'll take the roll.
I just want to say thank you. That's amazing. 17,000 already in this school year is pretty awesome. So thanks to the community. Please take the.
Yeah. Mr. Heckelman?
Yes.
Mrs. Altman?
Yes.
Mrs. Valentine?
Yes.
Mrs. Leban?
Yes.
Mrs. Meyer?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Next up, we have 11.02, may I have a motion to approve the Muskingum Valley ESC service agreement?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second?
Welcome, Ms. Glass.
Thank you. Good evening, President Meyer, Superintendent Hamburg, members of the board, and Ms. Marshall. Tonight, I am presenting for your information and approval a service agreement with Muskingum Valley Educational Service Center for the 25 and 26 school year. This agreement is for orientation and mobility services, which are essential for students with visual impairments. These services support students in developing the skills they need to travel safely and independently within their school and community environments. Due to the highly specialized nature of orientation and mobility services and limited availability of certified providers, we are partnering with Muskingum Valley ESC to ensure we can meet the needs outlined in our students' individualized education plans, IEPs. This agreement is ensuring continuity of services for our students and reflects our ongoing commitment to providing equitable and individualized support to all learners. I recommend approval of this agreement, and I am happy to answer any questions you may have.
Are there any questions for Ms. Glass? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Mrs. Leban?
Yes.
Mr. Heckelman?
Yes.
Mrs. Altman?
Yes.
Mrs. Valentine?
Yes.
Mrs. Meyer?
Yes. And here's the exciting part of the night, too. May I have a motion to approve the early graduate candidates who have completed at all local and state requirements?
So moved.
Second.
Welcome, Ms. Asher.
Very good evening, President Meyer, Superintendent Hamburg, Ms. Marshall, members of the board. Tonight, we have 2 students who are candidates for early graduation. These students are on schedule to complete their graduation requirements prior to their cohort. I am requesting approval for early graduation for these 2 students upon meeting all state and board requirements for graduation.
So moved.
Oh, we already did that. I just want to say
Yes.
congratulations.
There's so much distraction up here today.
Congratulations to the graduates. Thank you. Will you please take the vote?
Mrs. Altman?
Yes.
Mrs. Leban?
Yes.
Mr. Heckelman?
Yes.
Mrs. Valentine?
Yes.
Mrs. Meyer?
Yes, and it's come to my attention that we've had a mom that showed up that wanted to speak but didn't sign up. So may I have a motion to approve an additional public comment period?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. I'm not sure the name of the mother, but,
Vote.
oh, yeah. Yeah, sorry. We need to take,
Ready?
yep.
Mr. Heckelman?
Yes.
Mrs. Altman?
Yes.
Mrs. Valentine?
Yes.
Mrs. Leban?
Yes.
Mrs. Meyer?
Yes, and I'm just going to remind the Board of Education welcomes public comment on educational issues of interest to our school community. We do not discriminate based on the identity or viewpoint of the speaker during our public participation. However, the board president may limit comments that are obscene, abusive, or harassing. In an attempt to protect the privacy interests of our students, the board asks that speakers not identify students by name during their comments. Persons having public complaints about district personnel, programming, or operations will be referred to the process set forth in Board Policy 9130. Finally, the board reminds speakers that their statement should be directed to the whole board and not an individual board member, and each speaker will have 3 minutes. is the, okay. Okay. Welcome. You can take the podium up here, ma'am. Welcome. Would you please just state your name for us?
My name is Ferdowsa Ahmed, and on behalf of my son, his name is Jabril Warsame, and have some difficulty for his school. Last 2 years, he goes school 5 years, and he's special need child, and have difficulty last 2 years. So I come that reason to help it today. I try to contact to school and special education, but still I'm feeling I'm not getting the help I need or he needs my son. So that's why today I come to the board. I say I have to find someone helping me.
Thank you. Ms. Gertie Glass is right there with her hand up, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, I met her last year.
Okay.
And I don't find the help I needed. I missed the school last 2 months of school year, April and May, because the difficulty I have in school, and I was confused and I keep at home for his safety.
Mm.
So I met her, and I met her Adam, and I met her, what's called her name, Linda. All of them, I don't get the help I needed.
Well,
or he need my son, he needed.
Okay. So, is he here? Oh, sorry, I didn't see. Oh, yeah.
Mr. Cooper,
Mr.
could you
Cooper in the back
space
could
with
help
her?
you. He's our chief of academics.
Okay.
If you would want to talk with him, and then we'll be sure to follow up with him too to make sure that.
Christy, yeah, may I? Yes, thank you so much for coming. I can't imagine it's very difficult for you to come and share that publicly. Sidesha again, Mark Cooper, bet Adisa, Wukuawanaya, and definitely know board each of us. You can email, give us a call. We definitely care. We want to make sure that your child gets the assistance that they need, and you'll be very well taken care of. So jazakallah khair. I know wax adeeg anaad imaadid in cunug xanuunsana waa leedahay. So anigana wax yar.
Cunuga haystaa weliba ninkan kalena waa joogaa, laakiin since 2005 I was Westerfield District School, but the last 2 years what I face him, I never had it. Almost 5 children, they graduate. Even my daughter, she is with me. She is nurse, she graduate. She started Wilder School, kindergarten.
So had there,
elementary, she go middle school, high school, and now she go Mota Carmel School of Nurse.
Yes.
So, but last 2 years, what I have it, I see it, I never see it.
Yes. So anigana bananka.
Last week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I come to this office, the building. The lady who's secretary downstairs, she sent the email by phone. Nobody answer her. Nobody come to me. Nobody talk to me.
Well,
even the email she sent it, nobody answer to me.
Yep. So thank you. Hatta why imate you came. We got, we definitely hear it. We'll make sure that we follow up, and Mark in the back will take care of you. And I think everyone on this board agrees. We'll get that information and make sure that you're very well taken care of and your children as well. So jazakallah khair. Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys. You will be. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, we have one more. Okay. Okay. Welcome. And could you please just state your name for the board? Thank you. Welcome.
Hello, everybody. My name is Dahir Omar. I'm the community member. I've been in Westerfield community member since 2004, when my first child started kindergarten. All my children started kindergarten at the McFay Elementary, and they also went to the Walnut Middle School, and they graduate North High School. And guys, thank you for sending my child to Columbia University for free ride. I'm from Somali community, and you hear what this young lady was talking about now. I know 2,000 and more Somali children attended to Westerfield schools. And the same number go to the Columbus City Schools, and at least 20 Somali teacher assistant work with the Columbus Public Schools. And so far, I knew only one person work for Westerfield City Schools. And I believe that our children, anyway, we are the first generation, and English is not our first language. And most of their families have a language barrier, and we are in the stage that some families, children, and the parents don't understand each other. Because the parents don't speak Somali in English, and children don't speak Somali. And we don't have enough help within the Westerfield schools. And when the parents come to school, Westerfield schools for children, sometimes they depend on their child to translate for them. And let's say this child made a mistake, and you send it home, say, call your parent, and the parent will come to school with the child next day, and the translator will be the child. And he will tell the parent every good thing. What bad thing you said, he will translate to good thing to the parent. And that's what also we are really happy and supporting the levy, because we know that's important. And thank you very much. And actually, we need to see more Somali English speakers into the public Westerfield schools. We really need it. And I think we know we are competing other literacy schools like Dublin, North Arlington, whatever. And just if the 2,000, 3,000 children don't get enough education, and their grade was low, that impacted to the Westerfield schools too. And I think we need to think about to have more Somali speakers in the schools as assistant teachers to help those children. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you coming today. Okay, is that all of our? Okay, thank you. Next up, we have board comments. Who would like to go first?
Sorry, trouble with my button there. Thank you to the speakers, both sets of speakers. We always appreciate hearing from you, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to address your concerns. So thank you so much for coming here tonight. And I just want to say, we've acknowledged the beginning of the school year. It's been a wonderful start to the school year. By all accounts, I feel a little nervous even saying that out loud. I'm not generally superstitious, but I think one thing I just want to call out, I have a high school student myself, and the personal communication device thing. I've had many conversations with my child about that. I know that it changes a lot of the ways students are used to functioning, even in terms of when am I picking my kid up? I might not know it until the end of the day now at this point as things shift during the day. So I know it's a big adjustment for families, for students, and for teachers and staff who are keeping an eye on all this. So, I just want to thank everybody for doing that. A reminder that, this is a law. So we are doing our best to write a policy that we think fits Westerville on that one in particular, but I just know that it's an adjustment period. So, again, on top of all the other, new things that happened at the beginning of the school year, I know this has been a pretty significant adjustment, and just thanks to everybody for making this work.
I just have a quick thank you. I want to say thank you to the staff and student wellness and success teams for answering all our questions tonight and for all the hard work you put in, not only for our students' physical health, but their mental and social emotional learning as well. So that is such a big chunk to bite off these days, and I want you to know that it's genuinely appreciated. And to echo my colleagues' comments, we're still figuring it out as it relates to the personal communications thing. So thank you for extending us the grace while we seek to do the same for your students.
I wanted to say just great work and congratulations to all the educators and the staff who got our kiddos back to school without too many interruptions or any hitches. So thank you. I know that it's a lot going back to school and there's a lot to prep. You know, custodians cleaning the buildings and the bus drivers getting trained. Super exciting that we've got a lot more bus drivers that are no longer temporary but can officially drive buses with us. That is awesome. So thank you to everyone in this district who puts in the work to make this happen for our kids. Truly appreciate it.
Absolutely. I echo all of that. Ditto. Last week, I think or the week prior, we had a really, it was exciting for me to welcome everybody back. So those of you who are returning for the first time, I share the same message, welcome back. It sounds like a lot of great things have happened these last few weeks at the schools. And I am happy to have been able to participate in a few of these events this past weekend. And so thank you all for being here. I really want to thank all of the different individuals that came out and spoke today, whether they are supportive of the levy or not supportive of the levy, because, here's the thing. Public input is so important. And a lot of the members who came and spoke today really shared vulnerable experiences. And some of the measures that we passed today or were discussing the importance of it, making more investments, really center conversations around supporting the whole child and what that looks like. And so on a personal level, I really want to make sure that those families know that we are here to support, that I'm here to support. You can reach out. It's never easy to share if you're experiencing a language barrier or need a very specific solution to support your child. But, I think that this district cares so deeply. I mean, it's in our tagline, and this is where you belong. But I will definitely be sure to advocate that we are making those investments where we need. I don't think anyone wants to see reductions in language. I agree that we need more representation in all of our buildings, especially the language support, because if a kid can't understand what they're doing, or if the parent can't understand what the child is doing, then the child won't succeed. And so that kind of goes back to a lot of what's discussed about meeting the academic and non-academic needs of the students. So we have so many more months until the school year comes to an end. And so please continue to come and provide feedback, because I won't know, we won't know, I don't want to speak for everybody, what needs to be changed if we're not receiving that input. And so thank you so much for taking that courage to come out and speak, because I know it's a very difficult thing to do that. So thank you.
I want to echo my colleagues' comments. I do really appreciate that people took time out of their night to come and provide comments and bring their concerns and their experiences. It's always really important. I think, we're all very accessible too, so reach out if there are other things. I do want to thank the Westerville Education Challenge. I know Ms. Hamburg did. I had a really awesome time, even though my son smoked me in the 5K. I really appreciate all of the support that they provide to our school district and the social emotional programming and learning and just programs in general. The Rotary Club and the Big Bus, they collected a ton of food for our middle schools and delivered it today. It was pretty awesome to see that. I've enjoyed the videos. I haven't been able to make it out to all of the buildings for the back to school stuff, but they've been really fun to be able to watch and see what's happening in our school district. And I appreciate the thought and the intentionality that's gone into that. I know that this is a big district. It takes a lot of people to make this work, and not just the teachers and staff and administrators, but it takes families and students and all of us. So just thank you for a wonderful start. I think we've had a pretty non-hiccup start here and there, but just big thank you. And with that, the board will meet in regular session on Monday, September 8th, 2025 at 6 p.m. here at the Early Learning Center, which is 936 Eastwind Drive, Westerville, Ohio, 43081. And may I have a motion to move into executive session for the purposes of discussing the employment, compensation, and discipline of public employees?
So moved.
Second.
Would you take the vote, please?
Mrs. Leban?
Yes.
Mrs. Altman?
Yes.
Mr. Heckelman?
Yes.
Mrs. Valentine?
Yes.
Mrs. Meyer?
Yes.
7:23.
All right, we are back and it's 8:13. And may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
And will you please take the vote or the roll? Whichever you-
Mr. Eckelman,
Yes.
Mrs. Valentine,
Yes.
Mrs. Altman,
Yes.
Mrs. Levian,
Yes.
Mrs. Meyer.
Yes. Thanks for staying.
8:14.